Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shuttara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shuttara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shuttara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shuttara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shuttara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Goraksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Shard Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Surup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। जय श्रील भक्ति सारंग गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। तृतीय शुभ तिरुभाव तिथि की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। श्रीसिद्धान्त सरस्वती विदितो गौरीय गौरवन्वये भातो भानुरिव प्रभात गगने योगोरसंकीर्तनाय मायावारतिमिङ्गिलोत्तरकथान् उद्धृत्य जीवानिमान् कृष्णप्रेमसुधाब्धिगाहन सुखां प्रदात् प्रभुं तं भजे। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासारि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, Sarveshwari Mataji. And I don't see any, nobody wrote a comment, so I don't know who's there. But if you write a comment, I'll see your name. But Dandavat Pranams, whoever's watching. I'm guessing Indira Mataji is there, and Raseshwari Mataji, and I don't know who else, but Ganga Mataji probably. So Dandavat Pranams. So also pranams to all devotees watching in the future, like Shachi Devi and this Jayadev Prabhu and everybody else. Dandavat Pranams. So we are continuing our reading of No, we're not continuing our reading of Shikshashtakam. We're going to continue our reading of Shikshashtakam tomorrow. Right before I started our program today, I noticed that today is a disappearance day of Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And when I looked at My Beloved Masters by Śrīla Bhakti Bhārati Gosvāmī Mahārāja, and I saw it was 6,000 words. And so I thought, okay, that's a full program right there. And also, there's an article that he wrote called God Realization. It appeared in Rays of the Harmonist, Kārtika 2003. And so we'll see how much we have time to read, but I'm just gonna we'll just begin and see how far we get. All right. So Jai Śrīla Bhakti Bhārati Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Okay. And this book, My Beloved Masters, is available in PDF format, EPUB format, and you can just see the text also on vcvani.com. It's all free. Okay. Shishimad Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Oh, and Haribol Shubhananda Prabhu and Anari Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat pranams.
Haribol, Dandavat pranams, Prabhu.
Dandavat pranams. Haribol. Okay, so full surrender means leaving nothing behind. Prior to joining the Math full-time, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja, then known as Sri Atulananda Bandyopadhyay, he worked for the Indian Railways, which provided him with a stable residence. Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada once visited and stayed there for 3 days in 1921. As a result of his divine association during that 3-day visit, Sri Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay decided to dedicate his life to serving the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Following the principle of the verse Gurum Eva Bhikachet from Mundaka Upanishad 1-12, he understood that upon approaching Sri Guru, one ought to surrender oneself completely without returning home for anything. Therefore, he packed up all his household items, his table, chair, burro. I don't know what a burro is. What is a burro? That's okay. A burro is, okay, so another kind of desk. So his table and his writing desk, and so on. He packed them, all his household items on a truck and brought them to the Math. He did not leave anything behind, so as to ensure he would never have to revisit his house to settle pending matters. The dear associate of Sriman Mahaprabhu, Sri Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay and Sri Srimad Bhakti Prakash Aranya Gosvāmī Mahārāja visited many homes and offices to collect donations and find new subscribers for the Gaudiya Math's weekly magazine titled Gaudiya. In those days, Gaudiya was publishing Srimad Bhagavatam in installments, often including pictures of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and other Vaishnavacharyas. One day, a person asked Srila Aranya Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be non-different from Bhagavan. Why then have you included pictures of mortal humans on its same pages? For whatever reason, Srila Aranya Gosvāmī Mahārāja kept silent. And so, Sri Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay, he gave an eloquent yet assertive reply. He said, "You have not fully understood the special divine characteristics of Grantha Bhagavat, that's Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhakta Bhagavat, the devotee of Bhagavan." So Grantha Bhagavat and Bhakta Bhagavat. You haven't understood the special divine characteristics of these two. Nor have you learned the purports of the many essential verses that describe the nature of devotees, such as Shakshadharitena samasta shastrar yuktastata bhavyata eva sarvi kintu prabhurya priya eva tasya vande guru shri charanaravindam. The scriptures unanimously proclaim Sri Guru to be Shakshat Hari, directly Sri Hari. This is a fact jointly corroborated by all saintly persons. Yet, at the same time, Sri Guru is very dear to Bhagavan. I adore the lotus feet of that Sri Gurudev. So, You have not understood the you have not learned the purports of the many essential verses that describe the nature of devotees, such as this verse. So then, how then will it be possible for you to comprehend the photographs published in Gaudiya, that they are not of ordinary persons, but of very special, self-realized personalities? Moreover, it will be difficult for you to understand that because of their eternal relationship with Bhagavan. So, yeah, it'd be difficult for you to understand that because of their eternal relationship with Bhagavan. These liberated persons are non-different from him. In the same way, Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from him. He ended the discussion by remarking, I am from a Brahmin family, so high that 14 generations of your family would consider themselves grateful if but one of them happened to drink water from a plate where I had passed urine. Whoa, okay. But for some reason, you are questioning the master at whose feet I have offered my head, as well as the magazine I have come to distribute. In the evening, Srila Aranya Goswami Maharaj recounted the story to Srila Prabhupada. He told Srila Prabhupada that although he was unable to answer the man's question, Sri Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay, who is relatively new to the mat, gave an apt reply. Upon hearing this, tears flowed from Srila Prabhupada's eyes. He said, Sriman Mahaprabhu has sent one of his close associates to assist us. We have heard that Sriman Mahaprabhu and his associates appeared before Srila Prabhupada and assured him that they would provide both the means and the manpower required to spread Shuddha Bhakti among the masses. In the above-mentioned pastime, Srila Prabhupada confirmed that Mahaprabhu himself had sent his dear associate, Sri Srimad Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Causing others' faith in the real thing is the best type of collection. Oh, and Haribol Ganga Mataji and Hare Krishna and Donola Haribol. Okay, so whenever he collected donations, Sri Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay always dressed in formal attire, consisting of a coat and pants. One day he visited the house of a Shetji, a wealthy person. He rang the doorbell, and the owner personally answered the door. When Sri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay introduced himself as a member of the Gaudiya Math, the Sethji replied by saying, I have no faith in the Gaudiya Math. Ignoring the man's words, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu brushed past him and entered the house. The Sethji became irritated. Did you not hear me? He asked. I said I have no faith in the Gaudiya Math. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu took a seat in a nearby chair, saying nothing in reply. The Sethji, now irate, repeated, I said I have no faith in the Gaudiya Math. This time, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu responded, Yes, yes, I heard you. This is exactly why I've come to your house, to generate your faith in the Gaudiya Math. Even before I came, I knew that you had no faith in the Gaudiya Math, for if you had, you would have not resisted visiting. Sri Atul Chandra Prabhu then expertly explains the aim of the Gaudiya Math's mission and its unique specialities. Being highly influenced by Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu's scholarly presentation, the Sethji gratefully offered him a large donation. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu refused the donation. I have not come for a donation, he said. Believe me when I say I have come only to generate your faith in the Gaudiya Math. With great respect, the Sethji personally drove Sri Atula Chandra back to the Gaudiya Math, where he received darshan of Srila Prabhupada and offered the donation to him directly. Thereafter, he visited the Gaudiya Math regularly. Delivering an offender. Oh, and Haribol Shashikala Didi. Haribol. Okay, so delivering an offender. Once, Srila Prabhupada took Sri Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay and an entourage to preach in Kanpur. While Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu went to the city for a short time to collect donations, the local district magistrate came to visit Srila Prabhupada. During their conversation, the magistrate made a derogatory comment to Srila Prabhupada. He said, most of your followers seem highly educated. Is it your mission to turn educated people into mendicants? With this, the magistrate got up and abruptly left. One second. Okay. Um, Later, when Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu returns to see Srila Prabhupada informed him of his encounter with the magistrate. As Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu listens to Srila Prabhupada, he noticed that the magistrate's criticism had made Srila Prabhupada unhappy. He immediately hailed a horse cart and went to the magistrate's house. When he arrived, he told him, Srila Prabhupada is an extraordinary personality. He is a personal associate of Bhagavan. Your disrespectful comment has ensured your total ruin. You have played with fire, and now 14 generations of your family will have to suffer in hell. The district magistrate became frightened. He humbly asked Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu what he must do to make amends. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu instructed him to beg Srila Prabhupada for forgiveness and serve him somehow. The magistrate and Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu at once returned to the mart, where Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu implored Srila Prabhupada, please be kind to this man, and absolve him of his offense to your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada then spoke to the magistrate on many topics, and the magistrate served him by offering a donation of 500 rupees. God, he had so much influence on anybody he met with, it seems, huh? Could speak very directly, and people just accept what he said. So Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu accepted a huge responsibility when he resolved to save the district magistrate from committing a serious offense. This anecdote demonstrates many of Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's transcendental qualities. He had firm conviction in the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. He could recognize the awful fate in store for those who offended Srila Prabhupada, and he mercifully strived to find a way for them to atone for their offenses. By this, he delivered many offenders, and, like a true well-wisher, did whatever he could to cultivate auspiciousness on their behalf. Defending Srila Prabhupada and his followers. While Srila Prabhupada was heading to perform Sri Vrajmala Parikrama with his associates one year, Sri Halagulal, the head of the managing committee of the Banki Bihari temple, issued a statement to almost all of the prominent temples in Vrindavan, notifying them that Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati would soon arrive with all his followers, and he said, they are all Harijans. They are all Harijans, he said. He and his followers are not to be allowed entrance into our temples. And I think Harijan is referring to a low class person, like a low caste person. Let's see if there's an explanation. One second. I think I think that I thought I saved one second. Let's just go to the bottom of the page. Okay, yeah, there. So Harijan literally means people of Hari, but Mahatma Gandhi used this term to describe members of the various labor communities, like the washermen, drain cleaners, street sweepers, leather workers, etc., who are generally considered untouchable outcasts. So he used that term to see they are also people of Hari. We shouldn't treat them like that. But then because he used it in that way, then that term just became a derogatory term. So he wrote to all the temples in Vrindavan, the in charge of Banki Bihari, said, they're all Harijans. He and his followers are not to be allowed entrance into our temples. When Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay came to hear of this, he took a group of his Brahmin-born godbrothers, including Shishimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, then Shri Hayagriva Brahmachari, Shri Narathamananda Brahmachari, who later became Shishimad Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj, Shri Pranavananda Brahmachari, who later became Shishimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, and others to meet with the Goshai, or the head priest of the Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan temple. In conversing with the respected Goshai, Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu asked him, "Do we, who have taken birth in Brahmin families, seem like fallen deviants to you? Have we not conducted ourselves according to the words of scriptures when we resolved to follow the path of pure Vaishnava dharma? Srila Prabhupada has propagated the principles of Daiva Varnashram Dharma, the social designation of individuals according not to race or familial lineage, but innate propensities. To maintain a mundane conception of Srila Prabhupada will bring only ill fortune to the world. Moreover, may I remind you that I am Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay. When the Brahmins of your family approached our family seeking the hand of my daughter in marriage, I forbade it. I told them, we are Kulin Brahmins. How could we possibly consider allowing our daughter to marry into your family when we despise even the idea of dining in close proximity to you? The Goshai begged for forgiveness and accompanied Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu to see Srila Prabhupada. He then brought Srila Prabhupada and the Parikrama party for darshan of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohanji and conferred great respect unto Srila Prabhupada. Observing the conduct of the Sri Madan Mohanji temple Goshai, the head priests of all the other prominent temples of Vrindavan also accorded befitting honor and respect to Srila Prabhupada. It was only the Goshai of the Sri Banke Bihari temple who maintained some objection to allowing Srila Prabhupada's disciples to enter his temple, saying that Bihariji would be frightened by the tridandas the sannyasis carried. When Srila Prabhupada heard of this, he said, "Fine. If this is the case, we shall not enter the Sri Banke Bihari temple. We do not wish to frighten Thakurji." I wonder if that's because I've noticed on our Brajmanda Parikrama, like whenever we do Vrindavan Parikrama, we go to our Parikrama party goes to all the temples of Vrindavan except for Banke Bihari. But I wonder if it's, it's like it's been like a long, deep-rooted thing, starting from that time. It's just not really favorable. Okay. I mean, I've seen devotees go to the Banki Bihari. I'm just saying our Parikrama party isn't going inside. Say, collecting from a materialist. Once, Sri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay took his godbrother, Sri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, to visit a miserly businessman in Madras, which is now Chennai, who spoke only Tamil, of which the two godbrothers knew not one word. Before their visit, Sri Atul Chandra Prabhu told Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, he said, "I will communicate with him through hand gestures only. All you must do is advance toward him with your tridanda and back off when I tell you." It's gonna do sign language, huh? Just communicating with hand gestures. And what exactly am I supposed to run back and forth with my and why exactly am I supposed to run back and forth with my tridanda? Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj asked. Sri Atul Chandra Prabhu replied, "He will either think that I am depriving him of a blessing from Sri Narayan, who is embodied by your tridanda, or that I am protecting him from you turning him to ashes with it." When Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj advanced toward the businessman with his tridanda during their meeting, Sri Atul Chandra Prabhu stopped him and held up his 10 fingers, pointing to the businessman. The businessman, in return, held up one finger. Again, Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj advanced toward the businessman until Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu stopped him. This time, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu held up 9 fingers, and the businessman held up 2. They went on like this until eventually they both held up 5 fingers. As soon as Sri Atula Chandraprabhu stood up as if ready to leave, the merchant made a gesture signaling him to stay and then went inside his house. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja asked Sri Atula Chandraprabhu, "What does this mean, holding up 5 fingers?" "Maharaj, I have no idea," Sri Atula Chandraprabhu answered. "It could be 5 rupees, 50 rupees, 500, or something else. Whatever it is, let us wait and see." The merchant then brought 500 rupees from inside and put it in Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's hands. He then begged him to bless him on the forehead with his tridanda, and Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja obliged. As they were leaving, Sri Atula Chandraprabhu kicked the ground of the doorway. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja asked why he did that, he said, "I do not want to deal with this kind of person ever again. Otherwise, I fear I will become a covetous materialist of Vishai. I am kicking this man's association, kicking it with spite." Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would often say, Sri Atula Chandraprabhu was like a radish farmer whose crop is completely uprooted during harvesting. He would approach a person once, receive what he could, and never return. Others, however, were like eggplant farmers, whose crop continues to give even after harvesting. They would repeatedly go to the same person to acquire whatever they needed. Neither is intrinsically better than the other. They are simply different approaches. The best approach is always that which is most favorable for the service of Sri Hari according to time, place, and circumstance. A queen's donation. Once, Sri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay stayed in a temple in Orissa. At that time, the temple services were being funded by an elderly queen who was popularly known as Rani Mata. One day, Rani Mata sent her servant to inquire whether Sri Atula Chandraprabhu's stay there was comfortable enough and whether he was experiencing any inconvenience. Sri Atula Chandraprabhu replied that everything was fine, except that he was having a hard time sleeping without a pillow. Rani Mata then graciously sent him a pillow and told him he could keep it. As soon as Sri Atula Chandraprabhu received the pillow, he set off for Sri Dham Mayapur and took it with him. Upon his arrival at Sri Yogapit, he opened the pillow and found about 2,500 rupees inside. Traditionally, in Indian culture, it is men who offer donations to sadhus and not women. Sri Atula Chandraprabhu was perceptive enough to understand that by sending her servants to check up on him, Rani Mata was looking for an opportunity to serve him in some way. His request for a pillow was actually meant as a chance for her to offer a donation in secret. Such were his wondrous ways of collecting donations. Posing as a lawyer for the service of the Gaudiya Math. At the bidding of the queen of the Sitapur district in Naimisharanya, a man resolved to donate land for the construction of a Gaudiya Math there. Sometime later, however, an Indian civil service (ICS) officer, a foreigner, complains that the king ought to donate the land to her subjects if she had so much. He questioned how the locals would benefit by giving land to outsiders from Bengal or anywhere else. Hearing about this, the donor retracted his pledge to give the land to the Gaudiya Math devotees. Sometime later, Sri Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay, overheard the devotees. He was discussing the matter. He overheard the devotees. They were discussing the matter at the Sitapur train station while waiting for a train to Kolkata. I don't know why I had such a hard time reading this. He overheard the devotees he was with discussing the matter at the Sitapur train station while waiting for a train to Kolkata. As fate would have it, their train was 3 hours late. So he informed the devotees that he would pay the man a visit. On the way, he purchased a notebook and tucked it under the arm of his coat to make himself appear as a professional. He approached the man, who withdrew his pledge, and said, "I am the Gaudiya Math's legal advisor, and I am here to sue you for defamation. When you promised land to them, they printed notices in many newsletters and magazines about the proposed mott in Naimisharanya. But now that you have gone back on your word, their name will be tarnished." The man explained his position and showed Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu what the ICS officer had written. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu shouted at the man, "What does that fool know? We want this land not for the sake of taking, but for giving. We will develop this area by investing assets gathered from elsewhere. There is not a single person in your entire state who would come forward to develop this area like we would. And even if someone were to come forward, he would end up costing you much more than he would invest. Our investment is in this community. On the other hand, our investment in this community, on the other hand, would be greater, say 10 times greater than the value of the land you would give us. But never mind that. The main point is that you must make good on your promise. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to file a lawsuit against you." When the man finally agreed to donate the land to the Gaudiya Math, Sri Atul Chandra Prabhu insisted he pay a 10,000 rupee fine for the inconvenience he had caused. Ultimately, the man agreed to pay a fine of 5,000 rupees. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu collected the fine and returned to the train station in time to make his train. Wow, okay. Not only did he get the land, but he got 5,000 rupees. Okay, his presence of mind. Before Srila Prabhupada sent Atul Chandra Bandyopadhyay abroad to preach, he asked what's that? I don't know how you say, Ernst George Schultz, a German disciple of a German disciple of his whose initiated name was Sadananda Das. He said, so Srila Prabhupada asked Sadananda Prabhu, "What title should I give Atul Chandra when I send him to preach in the West? I need to give him a title that properly conveys his superiority to all the preachers I have sent until now." Sri Sadananda Prabhu suggested the title Missionary in Charge, which Srila Prabhupada liked. He then gave this title to Sri Atul Chandra Prabhu and he sent him to preach abroad. Sri Atul Chandra Prabhu did not accept even one paisa from the Math for his overseas preaching. The donations he collected abroad funded the entire venture. One day, the householder where he was staying informed him, "A large envelope with your name on it has come, but it is too big to fit in the letterbox. It is hanging out. You best retrieve it now." When Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu opened the letter, he found that the king of Bardhaman had sent him a check in his name. Although he did not have an English bank account, he decided to go to the bank anyway. At the bank, the manager told him, "We cannot cash your check unless we get a signature from someone who can verify your identity." It just so happened that a photograph of Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu shaking hands with the Marquis of Zetland had been published in the newspaper that day. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu saw a newspaper lying on the manager's desk, took it, and opened it to the page with his picture. He showed it to the manager and asked him, "Who is the person in this photograph?" The manager read the title on the bottom of the photograph, and it said, "Indian monk A.B. Goswami and Marquis of Zetland." He said, "Am I not the very same person?" Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu questioned. The manager looked at the photo and back at him a few times, and he said, So, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu prodded, "What do you say?" "It is definitely you." Then you yourself can verify my identity and sign." The manager did just that. Such was Srila Goswami Maharaja's presence of mind. maintaining faith in disheartening situations. After Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, the Saraswat Gaudiya mission faced a host of disturbances. During that time, a certain distinguished personality made the following comment about a particular disciple of Srila Prabhupada. I do not trust him when he says, huh, when he says yes. Nor do I trust his brother when he sarcastically says, who, yes. The mouths of the fathers of those who have faith in their has and whos will be full of these two brothers' stool. Okay, I didn't understand that. Let's see, there's a footnote though at the bottom of the page. Okay, so in other words, the two brothers' association is so harmful that it affects not only the person who associates with them, but that person's father as well. Just as good association delivers one's forefathers, bad association adversely affects them. Okay. So he said, they are cheating us. We should teach them a lesson. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied not ferociously, but peacefully, according to his tranquil nature. He said, Bhagavan is all-knowing, and he always guides and protects his devotees. If while being cheated by the Vaishnavas, we maintain faith in them nevertheless, even at the cost of detriment, that faith will be the genesis of our future happiness. Acquiring land in Mayapur. From the very beginning, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja was entirely disinterested in procuring land and building a mutt in Mayapur. He would repeatedly say, already in Sridham Mayapur are Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Mutt and Sri Madhav Maharaja's Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mutt. What then is the necessity for me to toil to build another place? I do, however, want my godbrothers to accrue as much land as possible, because otherwise undesirable people will create establishments there in the future and try to tarnish the sanctity of the Dham. He would also say, I will provide my godbrothers with as much money as they need to purchase and develop land. But with this, they must accept the responsibility of properly maintaining their establishments. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja possessed incredible foresight. Today, many undesirable factions have established themselves in Sridham Mayapur, and they engage in many activities opposed to the cultivation of bhakti. Sri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja was insistent that Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja establish a mutt in Sridham Mayapur. And so, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja, yielding to the request of his godbrother, purchased a plot of land there. On the day the foundation was to be consecrated by performing an auspicious cornerstone laying ceremony beneath the shade of an, I don't know how you say that, acacia tree there. Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja did not conduct the ceremony himself, but he had Śrīla Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja do it. Our Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mutt provided the mridangas, kartals, and asanas for that ceremony. I consider myself supremely fortunate and blessed to have witnessed and heard the heartfelt kirtans sung by those who had taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, their exemplary and genteel interactions, and the profound Harikatha they spoke that day. Afterwards, the devotees distributed nothing more than a light, hollow sugar candy called vatasa as prasad. But no one was dissatisfied. Everyone was quite pleased. The simple end to the grand festival brought to mind a verse I had learned when I was a child. Aja yude rishi shradhe prabhate meghampura dampate kalahe chaiva babharambe laghu kriya. That means the sparring of rams, the service rendered by saints, the sound of thunder in the mornings, and the squabbles between a husband and wife are loud in the beginning and quiet in the end, accomplished ultimately by the smallest of gestures. Although I had always felt that this verse was not applicable in modern times, I realized it was most certainly relevant to Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja's feast that day. You've had the little vatasas, right? Like they're like these little circle sugar things. That was the... Okay. An example of his humility. While Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's mat in Sridham Mayapur was under construction, he stayed in Guru Maharaja's Bhajan Kutir in a Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya mat. He was highly punctual. He would come and go at exactly the same time every day. One day, for some reason, he arrived at our mat 5 minutes earlier than normal. Before entering Guru Maharaja's Bhajan Kutir, he asked us in all earnestness. He said, Prabhus, today I have come 5 minutes early. May I come inside the mat? Or should I atone for my unpunctuality by waiting outside? Accept only that service which you can properly manage. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would host festivals in his mat, he would invite only 1 or 2 devotees from each mat. He would explain, by his own conduct, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur has taught that as etiquette dictates, we must invite only as much Vaishnavas as we are capable of serving at one time, without losing a respectful attitude. If we invite too many devotees, we run the risk of making offenses due to our inability to attentively serve every one of them in a befitting manner. We read an article by Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur on this topic. It was called Vaishnav Seva, and he mentions that very point. You wanted to see it? I just want to find it. And we have, where is it though? I have to see where, I can find it really quickly actually. Here, this is, okay. Let's just move that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then Vaishnav Seva, where is it? Hey, how come it's not coming up? Anyhow. Is it supposed to be this one? Yeah, I think I could find it right like this. Sorry, guys. That's okay. Boom. Okay. PDF Rays of the Harmonist. Okay, let's see if it's in this one. Nope. I think it might have been Kārtika 2008. Yes, it is Kārtika 2008. Found it. Okay, let's see. What does Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur say on this topic of not inviting too many Vaishnavas to serve? This might be even the article that he was referencing. All right, like the words of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur is referencing. Oops, I went way too far. Here. Okay, so okay, so he's talking about the tradition of inviting lots of Vaishnavas to feed them. So he says, the householders should serve these Vaishnavas who chant offenseless chanting, engage in offenseless chanting. But in Vaishnav Seva, it is not merely that the devotee's ashram that commands respect. Rather, gradation among Vaishnavas is gauged according to their advancement in bhakti. The present tradition is extremely harmful. A mace bearer extends invitations to 100 Vaishnavas, and upon receiving the invitations, such Vaishnavas give up all their activities and proceed to decorate themselves with tilak and so forth. Now we will get puris and pancakes to the full satisfaction of our bellies, and along with that, we will receive some dakshina. Hoping for such wealth, they start manifesting bhakti. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.259, Śrīla Rupa Goswami has said, he who tries to indirectly awaken his own bhakti by engaging his wealth, students, and so forth in devotional service actually separates himself from the highest expression of bhakti by a great distance. His engagement in this way is not even a limb of bhakti. This statement shows that Srila Rupa Goswami has not accepted these activities as bhakti. If there is no bhakti in these activities, then those who perform them cannot be accepted as Vaishnavas. If we consider every jiva to be a Vaishnav, then service of them can be called jiva seva. Hmm. Okay, sorry, I'm. This isn't exactly what I was looking for. um, okay, this is it. Look. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, yeah, okay, this is it. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya once said, Bahuta sannyasi jadi aise ekathai saman korite nari aparada pai. Here it is. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 15:197. If many sannyasis come together in one place, all of them cannot be honored, and offenses will be committed. The uninvited, renounced Vaishnav is called Abhyagata. If by chance one or two such Vaishnavs come to a householder's home, it is proper for the householder to serve them. By his doing so, he indeed performs Vaishnav Seva. However, if he gathers many renunciates in one place, he will not be able to properly honor all of them, and the result will be aparad. In the simple act of extending an invitation, the conduct meant for abhyagata is lost. Although such activities are considered to be sannyasi bhiksha, giving charity to sannyasis, they are not Vaishnav Seva. When a Vaishnav is brought into one's home and served with great care, no offense is made. However, in fetching many renounced Vaishnavs by invitation with pomp and show, there is every chance of aparad. The householder Vaishnavs must reflect upon this matter specifically. They must understand that Vaishnav Seva is a part of Nitya Dharma. However, they should not act against bhakti by inviting many Vaishnavs, serving them and then offering them dakshina out of desire for their own fame and popularity. Always remember that this is the time of Kali. Kali will create many deviant paths to obstruct those attempting to cultivate Shuddha Bhakti. But if one follows the life and precepts of Sriman Mahaprabhu, Kali will not be able to interfere with one's practices. So maybe he was mentioning this article. But anyhow, we see that Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja followed this principle. His deep respect for the Dham. Oh, and Haribol Vidilala Saditi. And oh, Nri Hari Prabhu and Bhavatarini Mataji. Haribol. Okay, so his deep respect for the Dham. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would walk from Sri Chaitanya Gauriya Mat to his mat, his servant Sri Gauradas Prabhu and I would support him from either side. One day, as we were leaving Sri Chaitanya Gauriya Mat, we saw Nilu, that's Sri Yogapit's generator room guard. He was driving a new bicycle rickshaw, a vehicle that had been only recently introduced in Sri Dham Mayapur. Seeing this, Sri Gauradas Prabhu asked Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Maharajji, would you like to go by rickshaw? Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied gravely, Me? On a rickshaw in the holy Dham? Never. This will never happen. I know well that you people will all ride in cars in the future, but you will not get a license to do so from me. It is a fact that in his entire life, he never sat in a rickshaw or car in the Dham. When traveling to the Dham in a car or rickshaw, he would stop at the limits of the Dham and start walking. Wow. Sri Gauradas Prabhu said, Maharaj, we are afraid that you might fall and injure yourself if you walk all the time. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja joked, Ah, that is your problem, not mine. Later, when he reached his mat, he loudly called to another of his dear servants, Sri Banvihari Baba, Oh, Bana Baba, this Gaur has just about killed me today. He made me walk all the way here. I am so worn out. His relationships with his disciples were always sweet and humorous. Everything is justified in service. Once, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja and his servant Sri Gauradas Prabhu came to our Mayapur branch of Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math to visit the Goshala, which I managed in those days. Śrīla Mahārāja saw 2 healthy, happy calves there and asked me, "How old are these calves?" "Maharajji, they are about 1 year old," I replied. Without hesitating, he offered this advice. He said, "If you turn them into oxen, you will be able to get a great amount of work out of them." And isn't an ox a bull, but they cut off the bull's like the bull's genitals or something like that? That's what I thought. Anyways, I could be wrong. But when Sri Gauradas Prabhu heard this, he said, "Maharaj, would you have dared to even suggest such a thing, let alone do it, had you been living with your family?" "No," Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied. "I would have been declared an outcast and removed from our society. But I am no longer a Brahman. I am a transcendental malecha, a divine outcast of sorts. If an activity befitting a malecha is performed with the intention of serving Sri Guru, Vaishnavas, and Bhagavan, it is considered spiritual, not mundane. Everything is justified in service." Remembering Sri Krishna and his associates in all situations. One time, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja asked me, "What is your name?" "Narottam Das Brahmachari," I replied. When he heard this, he was reminded of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He said, "Your name is Narottam? Then you are my master, my Prabhu." In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 485, Srila Kaviraj Goswami has mentioned, "Jaha jaha nitra pore, taha Krishna spure," which, when applied to this situation, means whenever a perfected personality casts his eyes, wherever a perfected personality casts his eyes, Krishna manifests to him. The word Krishna in this verse refers to Sri Krishna accompanied by his associates. Therefore, when Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja heard that my name was Narottam, he immediately became immersed in remembering Sri Krishna's intimate associate, Srila Narottam Das Thakur. This is a speciality of Vaishnavas. Ordinary persons can never imagine, even in their dreams, the transcendental consciousness in which Vaishnavas remain situated. Honoring all prasad with equal reverence. When Srila Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja sat to honor prasad, he would do so only after first mixing together all the preparations on his plate. Everything from karela, from the bitter melon, to sweet rice. You just mix it all together. The first time I saw him doing this, I was still new to the mat, and I therefore lacked understanding of Vaishnava Siddhanta. I told him, "Maharaj, you will not be able to relish the original individual tastes of these preparations if you mix them all together." Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied, "Why should I indulge the desires of this wicked and insignificant tongue of mine, which measures a mere 2.5 inches? Do you not recite this verse before accepting prasad? Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Salpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwasona Vajayate?" Which means those who have very few pious activities to their credit can never develop faith in Mahaprasad and Sri Govinda, in the holy name of the Lord, or in the Vaishnavas. And what has Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur written about Mahaprasad? "Sharira avidya jarendriya tahekal jive phale vishaya sagare tar madhe jiva ati lobhamoy sudurmati take jeta katina sangsare Krishna boro doyamoy kori bare jiva joy swaprasad anadhila bhai se anamrita pao Radha Krishna gunagao preme dako chaitanya nitai." I'm not going to read the translation. In other words, he explained, Sri Krishna Prasad is just like nectar. To discriminate between preparations is improper. We should not think, "I want less karela and more sweet rice," or "I do not want this item. Please serve me more of that one." He then quoted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said, Dvaite bhadra bhadra gyan sab mano dharma, e bhalo e manda e sabhrama. It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila 4:176. Says, in this world of duality, conceptions of auspiciousness and inauspiciousness are all functions of the mind. It is delusional to think this is good and that is bad. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja concluded his point by stating, it is therefore better for us to honor the items on our plate with equal reverence, considering them all to be prasad. If someone would ask him how he liked the prasad he was served, he would always answer, it was very good. They prepared it very well. But if he heard a devotee complain that a dish had not been properly prepared, he would say, go and call the cook at once. He must be punished for being inattentive in his service to Bhagavan. He should be suspended from his service for 2 or 3 days and instructed to atone for his misdeed by constantly weeping and chanting Harinam. Bring him here at once so that I may reprimand him. His words were not merely lip service. He set a precedent by actually punishing those who were inattentive in their service. Oh, very heavy. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Let's see how much more. Let's just read a couple more paragraphs. Yeah, let's read this section. Valuing Vaishnav Seva over Bhagavad Seva. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would often mention, I have not come to the Mach to serve Bhagavan. I have come to serve Vaishnavas. In this world, we receive many opportunities to serve Bhagavan, but the opportunity to serve Vaishnavas is exceedingly rare. It is much more spiritually beneficial to serve Vaishnavas than Bhagavan, for by doing so, one learns how to properly serve Bhagavan and gradually develops a true lasting taste for such service. Engaging in the direct service of Bhagavan without serving Vaishnavas does not ensure one's spiritual benefit. Seeing all Vaishnavas as his masters. We'll end with this section. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja manifested an illness pastime, I bought him a portable commode made of cane, an item that was available in Navadvip and Krishnanagar in those days. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja saw it, he told me, I will never use this. A Vaishnav would have to clean it every time I use it. I cannot bear to think about that. Throughout my life, I have never considered any Vaishnav to be my servant. I have always regarded everyone, newcomers and seniors alike, as worthy of my service. No matter what I said to him, I could not convince him to use it. Finally, I constructed a commode out of bricks with my own hands, which he happily accepted. Okay, let's end. Actually, sorry guys. This is very short, and I think this is a nice way to end it. His astounding life teachings. We have received the following teachings from the exemplary life of Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja. 1. Devotees need not be concerned with experiencing opposition, nor should they worry about adverse circumstances. Bhagavan is like an affectionate parent for his devotees. He always protects them. 2. The process of bhajan cannot develop if corrupted by a propensity for sense gratification. A person attached to gratifying his senses never attains true welfare. It is only when we remain supremely satisfied with whatever prasad Bhagavan mercifully arranges for us that we will attain perfection in our sadhana. 3. Fully attentive and dedicated service to Sri Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas is the true expression of deep-rooted love for them. Okay, and now Srila Bhakti Pramod, if anybody needs to leave now, because it's 8 o'clock, it's already reading time is finished. But if anybody wants to stay a bit longer, yeah, then I'm just going to read the short thing that Śrīla Bhakti Gosvāmī Mahārāja wrote. So this is composed under, yeah. So Śrīla Bhakti Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Under him, this is written: the principal pillar of Srila Prabhupada's preaching mission. Tridandi Swami Srimad Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja was one of the foremost pillars of Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada's preaching mission, which aimed to spread the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the entire world. Thus, he fulfilled his beloved Sri Guru Pad Padma's most cherished desire, a model of humility and a fearless Guru Sevak. Pujapad Goswami Maharaj was a prominent member of the Sri Vishwa Vaishnav Raj Sabha, the chairman of the weekly Gaudiya magazine's editorial board, a humble model of Guru Seva, and the greatest of speakers. Now he has attained the eternal shelter of the gentle lotus feet of his Sri Guru, who propagated throughout the world the glories of Sri Gaura's sacred abode, name, and most cherished desire. Through his divine conduct, Pujapad Maharaj demonstrated a fearless example of service to Sri Guru until the very last moment of his physical presence. If we can attain the fortune of following him to even a fractional degree, then our lives will be blessed beyond all fortune. His unpretentious, genuine, and exemplary character. Pujapad Goswami Maharaj was the foremost assistant of Sri Gaur Karuna Shakti Srila Prabhupada, who is Sri Gaur's potency of compassion, and fulfilling the most cherished ambition of Sri Gaur. By the desire of Gaur Sundar, that great servant of Sri Guru who possessed the most unpretentious, genuine, and exemplary character, appeared in the world with great nobility. Today he has concluded his magnificent vow of service and bid farewell to the mundane realm. Kripa Kori Krishna More Diachilo Sangha Satantra Krishna Icha Hoilo Sangha Bhanga. Mercifully, Krishna gave me his association. By Krishna's independent will, our exchange has ended. That was published in Chaitanya Vani, Year 4, Volume 4. All right, that's our program for today. I'm going to do Jaidvani. So I'll sing short Mahamantra, Jaidvani. And then if anybody wants to stay for an extra long time, I'm going to read an article. But nobody needs to stay for that. I just want to read it myself. And if anybody wants to stick around, you can stay with me. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Jai Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swaparshad Ji Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopikan Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrindadevi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Jai Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo, Jai Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai, Tadiyar Shubha Tiravav Titi Ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Bhakti Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai, his book My Beloved Masters Ki Jai, Jai Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyai Keshavascha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Satyavatai Namo Namaha, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyai Vacha, Patitanam Pavane Pyo, Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha. Also, all glories to all the associates of Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai and all of their followers. All right. Dandavat pranams. Dri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Shashikala Didi, Shubhananda Prabhu, Anari Krishna Prabhu, Sarveshwari Mataji, Ganga Mataji, Hare Krishna, Vidyalala Didi, and I see there are 8 people on YouTube and Facebook. Dandavat pranams to all of you. And also pranams to all devotees watching in the future. So yeah, if anybody wants to stick around longer, I'm going to just read an article written by Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. I just wanted to end it now because I don't want to, yeah, I don't like going over time. Like I like being timely. I'm already 9 minutes over time. But yeah, Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja was always very timely, right? That's what we just read. So, okay. So, actually, I think there's an article by him about from about Gaudiya Kantahara. I think he was the one. Or no, I might be getting mixed up with. No, there's a section about him there. But anyways, I'm not going to read that. I'm going to just read this. So about the author. Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja, famous for his scholarship and brilliant lectures, dedicated his life to the preaching mission of his spiritual master, Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. His efforts extended even to Western countries. On his first visit to Sri Chaitanya Math in Mayapur, he was introduced to his Gurudev by Śrīla Bhakti Brigyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, with whom he shared a lifelong intimate friendship. Inspired by the divine message of his spiritual master, Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja gave up his high-ranking government position and his home to join the mission of his Gurudev. Preaching vigorously, he began raising funds for the mission among pious, wealthy merchants in Kolkata, Delhi, Bombay, and other major cities. Once these people heard his Harikatha, they sent truckloads of rice, dal, and vegetables for Mat Seva. After the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja founded Sri Gaudiya Sangha and established preaching centers and ashrams in numerous cities, as well as in Mayapur and Vrindavan. He was the editor of the weekly Gaudiya magazine, and to continue the mission of his Gurudev, he started the English magazine Sri Sajantoshini Patrika. He also regularly contributed articles to the Harmonist. His Samadhi Mandir is situated in his Mat in Mayapur, while his Pushpa Samadhi is located at Imlitala, Vrindavan. Okay. Yeah, his Mat is the meeting place of Gaur Nitai, just near ISKCON, like right before the main gate of ISKCON. Okay. The mind, unsteady and prejudiced. Oh wait, this article is called God Realization. Let me just make it there. And let's see, where was this originally published? This is originally published in Sajantoshini Patrika. Okay, his magazine is published in English. So this is published in 1959. Okay, so this is not a translation. This is, yeah, interesting. This is his original English. The mind, unsteady and prejudiced. To err is human. However learned and intelligent a man may be, he is prone to err and evil. The greatest philosopher should always remember that human nature is apt to make various errors at every moment, especially when we try to judge that which is spiritual and eternal using our empiric knowledge. Reason is undoubtedly the greatest of all human excellences, but it has its own jurisdiction. Nature has indeed favored some persons with superior powers of intellect. Yet our mind is always prone to change. We accept a theory today and reject it a few days later. Everyone experiences the fallacy of theories established by renowned men. The great differences in quality we often perceive between works crafted by the minds of the same man should discourage dogmatism. The condition of the human body varies according to the time and weather, undergoing more transformations than the moon itself. So also must be the state of so also must the state of the mind rise and fall like mercury in a tube. 1 hour the mind is as pure as ether, and the next moment it is as foul as the thickest fog. Where then is the reliability of the human intellect? Where are the grounds to boast its prowess? This fickleness of the mortal frame, this instability of human wisdom, should teach us humility and abate our pride. This point is overlooked by many philosophers, most of whom are found to be strongly prejudiced in favor of their own preferred opinions. Prejudice or preposition. What is that? Prejudice or prepossession generally stands like a stumbling block in the way of justice and does not allow our reason to look beyond it. Prepossession, what's that? A preconceived opinion, a prejudice. Okay. So it generally stands like a stumbling block in the way of justice and does not allow our reason to look beyond it. It is this fatal propensity that shamefully misleads our judgment. To avoid being led astray by such a dangerous error, we must be very careful we must be very careful to deprive ourselves of acquired prejudices. And we should hear impartially before we pass a sweeping remark on any subject. Yes, very important instruction. It is admitted on all accounts that the powers of the mind depend upon the organs of the body, which alter over time. The mind, being inseparably connected with matter, cannot proceed beyond material phenomena. It therefore has no access to the spiritual world, the door to which is shut to all who wants to enter with their prepossessions, their prejudices and all that, or dim light of worldly wisdom. The divine sphere. The rules and laws of the material world have no access in that world of eternity. Material time and space have no place there. Material senses cannot approach that realm. Who can set landmarks to delimit its dimensions, or find plummets to fathom the depth of that mighty, mysterious existence? What numbers can express and what line can measure the lengths and breadths of that eternal world? A theist cannot help but conceive of a single spiritual supreme being present in the spiritual realm of eternity, in spite of all that the most obstinate atheist can say and devise through his own doubts. Be you the greatest intellectual giant, the most learned scholar, the best orator, or the single most experienced man in the world, you will have to stop dead at the gate of the divine sphere of spirit and seek counsel of sound judgment as how to proceed. God is self-effulgent. His powers are identified with his person. In the material sphere, there's a difference between a person and his powers, and between an object and its attributes, name, form, and movements. But it is a spiritual truth that anything that is spiritual is identical with its name, form, attributes, and activities. Most Western philosophers have identified the mind as well as the perverted ego with the soul or spirit, and therefore have failed to rise beyond matter and that which is related to matter and spirit. The demarcation line between the mind and spirit will be observed in the words of Krishna, the Lord of all lords, in Bhagavad Gita 7:4. Therein, he says that the 5 elements form the physical body or outer case of a being, namely 1, solids, 2, liquids, 3, fire, 4, air, and 5, space. A further 3 elements compose the astral body or inner case of a man, and these are 6, the mind, 7, the intelligence, and 8, the perverted ego. These 8 substances are related to the creative principle of matter, whereas the soul, which is an atomic fragment of the divine soul, is of a different nature. He is of an energy that produces beings who are spiritual in nature, but liable to be enthralled by Maya, his illusory energy, when they forget their true innate position as eternal servants of the deity. God has infinite powers, but the scriptures describe the attributes of his power in three divisions. Viz. 1. That power that exhibits spiritual existence is called Chit Shakti, and the spiritual kingdom is called Chit Jagat. 2. Maya Shakti creates the material phenomena, known as Mayak Jagat. 3. Jiva Shakti manifests souls who are naturally located between the Chit Jagat and Mayak Jagat. Such souls are so constructed that they are liable to be enthralled by Maya Shakti. This is a consequence of their desire for power when unaided by the Chit Shakti of the deity. Those who prefer to serve their master are protected from falling into the clutches of Maya and undergoing troubles as a consequence. They are thus admitted to the Chit Jagat as eternal servants. The soul engrossed in matter loses himself to his mind, which takes over the seat of its master, the soul, and acts through his senses to enjoy this world. In fact, the soul is the proprietor of both the mind and the body. When, by good fortune, the sleeping soul is made to turn back to hear, think of, or move towards its original position, the mind and body follow suit till the final objective of spiritual existence is attained. The mind engrossed in matter is doomed to wallow in the mud of this world, whereas the mind liberated from all the pressure of gross matter tends to go back to God, back to his home above. There is a wide gulf between mind and spirit that can only be bridged by spiritual cultivation. There are so-called great men or rational thinkers who deny the existence of spirit. But this truth is not subject to dry reason or barren arguments. It is only to be felt by sincere men as the intuitive truth. Here, intellect fails and submission to God triumphs. Omnipotent God beyond error. Vaishnava philosophers have discovered that all the mistakes we are guilty of making originate from 1. Error, 2. Inebriation, 3. The shortcomings of our senses, and 4. An inclination to deceive others. And by these, our boldest and strongest thoughts are lost. Brahm, Pramad, Vipralipsa, and Karunapatav. 1. We mistake infamy for renown and ruin our benefits. 2. We misunderstand something when the brightest rays of truth shine in vain upon our mind. 3. The senses we use for observation are always defective and incapable of giving us a perfect view of what we observed. For instance, when our eyes look at a glass of water, we do not see any germs in the water unless and until a microscope is used, nor do we see in darkness. So that's anyways. 4. A general inclination for deception creeps into our heart when we take a one-sided view and establish facts or theories with the greatest assurance. All people are subject to fall victim to these defects. The only exception is God Almighty and his associate counterparts who remain with the absolute truth. God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-blissful. He is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. And none like him can be found anywhere. He is one without a second and possesses infinite powers. Out of his own supreme power and prerogative, he appears before us in his incarnations, in his avatars, or in the deity form, Sri Vigraha. He comes down from his ever blissful abode to this world in the form of a man, when we actually require his help. Sometimes he sends his parishads, his associate counterparts, who are fully empowered to act here on his behalf. When theism is forced to give way to pantheism, atheism, skepticism, and agnosticism, then irreligion, unscrupulousness, and duplicity bring about chaos on earth. Sin and its consequences surge around us, tumultuously clamoring to have their way against our wishes, and we find ourselves in the midst of a whirlpool. He comes to save us from their clutches and reestablish peace and order. He may remain here and at the same time remain everywhere, both inside and outside the universe. Mutually contradicting powers and attributes live in harmony with him, ruled by his supermundane self. With all his paraphernalia, majesty, might, glory, beauty, wisdom, and supremacy, he reigns eternally in the spiritual world and exists simultaneously in every created object and place in his complete fullness. The omnipotent author of nature is a supreme will unto himself, and is above nature and her laws, and rules, because everything has come from his will and power. The spiritual guide. The Supreme Lord Krishna Chaitanya is at the center of all spiritual and material phenomena. At that central point, harmony shines eternally with her all-beautiful Lord, the Absolute Truth. His injunctions are universally true. His injunctions are universally true at all times and must be universally relied upon. They are embodied in the Vedas, the Gita, the Upanishads, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other shastras, which must be accepted as the only evidence in spiritual affairs. Fortunate and blessed persons hear and obey them. They are not intended for any particular sect, caste, or creed, but for all beings and all souls, be they animal, human, or celestial. These injunctions are not based on partial or apparent truth, but on the absolute or unchangeable truth. If brought to this platform by the grace of the Almighty, persons of conflicting interests and different sentiments become peaceful and live in eternal association with that transcendental being, a life of continuous joy, peace, and success in this world and the next. Harmony lays her hand on the contending parties and brings all their differences to an amicable conclusion. Our first question should be, how to arrive at this platform? I cannot approach his divine abode if I am unaided by the spiritual light emanating from one who realizes the principle of spirit. Now comes the question of Satguru, our spiritual guide, who is nearest and dearest to the Supreme Being. He comes to this world in the form of a man to save dormant souls from the clutches of Maya, the Lord's illusory energy, to infuse divine power into every man to navigate through life victoriously and successfully, and to give every erring being the power to be reinstated to his former position with all the rights and privileges of such a position, that is, eternal service of Godhead. Generous friends, do you feel the need of such a friend, staunch and true, who will stand by you through thick and thin, who will give you power to win when you are strongly tempted to go wrong, either in accordance with or in contradiction to the dictates of your own reason and judgment? I love that. Our next question should be, where can I find our spiritual guide? How to get him to be interested in me? If I'm sincere and true in my desire, he will reveal himself to me. He is ever ready to receive everyone who comes to him. Many have found him. Many are enjoying his friendship and living in close communion with him. I should express my willingness to obey him, and then I will become conscious that he has heard my prayers. The next moment, I shall find him disguised before my eyes in a human form, a Mahanta Guru or Satguru. He welcomes me with outstretched arms, and the gates to God's realm opens. Jai. Wow, what a beautiful ending. All right, so that is some Harikatha from Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. All right, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you everybody for staying for so long. See you all tomorrow. Wait, let me just look at the calendar. Okay, yeah, there's nothing happening tomorrow and the day after. The next festival that we'll have, like the next special reading that we'll have, TT reading, I mean, is for Sri Rai Ramananda, his disappearance date in 4 days from now. But until then, we will be reading Shikshashtakam every day. Tomorrow we will read some more explanations of the first verse of Shikshashtakam from my Srila Gurudev. So, all right, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Hariva. Hariva.